Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Essential, and today is Tuesday, December the 3rd, 2019, which is a 333 day. We were kind of remarking on that a little earlier. I'm back with my gal pal posse in the house. Everybody's together again. Lisa Flamino rushes home from the DC metropolitan area. Thank you for spending that extra time in that area. And BC Rieger, thank you for, so glad to have my girls back tonight.
It's a 369 day too.
Yeah.
Share with what you mean by that. 3 6.
Well, I mean, when you have the threes like that, you can do the 3 and the 6 and the 9.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, I think Lisa actually alluded to that earlier because, I was sharing with her that, December 12th is also a 333. It is also the full moon in Gemini, which, it always means more illumination, more light, on all kinds of different metaphoric levels.
Mm-hmm.
So this entire month for me, really, because then, then we got solstice, and then we got a solar eclipse, and no, we got stuff all the way.
Getting better and better.
I know, right? And that really kind of ties into what we're going to talk about tonight. And this is sort of, and I don't know that I had the full title, BZ, when I wrote it down before, but I felt like what we were speaking on as we gathered, as the three of us gathered here, was really the same kind of thing. I wrote down unleash your power mindfully with accountability and foresight. And because I have felt a lot of, well, I shared last week, Jupiter was crossing the galactic center, which has been at the sculptor for the Sabian symbol of the sculptor's vision taking form. And it also jumped to another degree in regards to bridging. And so with Jupiter being the great magnifier, it is now, as of today, I believe, moved into Capricorn, which is activating. I was sharing with Lisa earlier a whole lot of stuff that has to do with, those kinds of disclosure things that we all talk about coming up and coming out. But we were speaking on making sure to only move towards that which brings you the highest joy and your greatest desire. And I felt like it dovetails with this perfectly, because everything seems to be manifesting, forming, coming into fruition. Timelines are collapsing. The highest version of myself, as long as I am embodying the highest version of me in every given moment, that's what I'm striving for, because it seems like the puzzle pieces that I'm collecting are showing me that timelines are collapsing in every moment for each one of us. And it could be at different moments for each one of us. I think we are orchestrating it in our own reality bubbles, if you follow. And yet I also feel like there's an overall. So I'm just, my own guidance is to remain in my center and in my highest joy, and moving towards what I desire in every moment. Because there's all kinds of things happening. I can feel them. And I'm witnessing others that like might be in mindsets where maybe not the highest joy or whatever. And things are, in some of those cases, not the greatest, and they kind of are solidifying, sort of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm being clear in what I'm saying there, but I really felt like it plays into this.
Well, for me, what you're describing is that that's very, very evident. There are big collective node points that are happening with all of these things you mentioned, the dates and the portals and the energies and the flow. So there's the unification node points, then there's different collectives node points, and then there's individuals. And a simple way to just paint a picture of that is if something's going on, you're wanting something, and something happens, something occurs that in theory is stopping you from what it is you want, or like you had an accident, or you had this, or and you at first at the node point you go, that's bad, right? That's, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh no, oh no, right? Instead of, and I was kind of laughing to myself when you were saying, it's really good to be in your highest joy, because that's where you will get us. Well, you actually will get it anyways. It'll be a little bit more tumultuous, but that's what's happening is these energies, frequencies, and the node points are shaving off that which is not in alignment with our core and the truth of who we are. And so we are getting expansion no matter what. We are actually taking ourselves and creating for ourselves our highest joy, our true north, our heart center, right? The paths may look a little bit more direct and a little bit more scenic and a little bit more, a joyous, adventurous, wow kind of a ride, or they may be switchbacks and turns and hairpins and mud pits and ditches and all this kind of stuff. And I was relaying before off camera that I've watched recently a lot of people in the moment. They can go like this in how they're talking, and they are driving themselves down this road, and depending on where they're focusing, or if I'm speaking with them and playing with them on it, they can start to go in either way, and then they start to notice that they're doing it. So if someone's talking, they're talking about something, or having a conversation, and something that happened with this person, and they felt and looked at it as this big, oh no, and now I can't get this, or this is going to be delayed, or why is this happening? And in the moments of the conversation, it was pain in their body, or then their phone alerted with an email, and they glanced at it, and that was more bad stuff. And I said, well, something along the lines, if you drove on the other side of the road, or you change the scenery consciously, play with it. You might see it. And they said, what are you talking about? So we play with that, and they started doing that. They had to kind of they didn't get the whole thing, but they consciously drove that way. And all of a sudden, the next thing they said, well, I just had this great thought. I could do this. And it changed, and it was so funny to watch them metaphorically driving, like they were drunk down the road like this. And I said, you can choose where you're going.
Right.
And they can see it real time. They never could before. They didn't occur to them they could see it before, and have since stuck with it. And that's what's happening for everybody. So whether you read something in the newspaper, or see something on social media, or something in your own personal life or work, or whatever it is, and when Sheila mentions, your highest heart's desire, and moving forward to what you want, mm-hmm. And that's going to take shape for people in different ways. And as I've talked about this a lot, that when you come from your highest heart's desire, not just in the shirt, which is oftentimes much more constricted, and not looking at the bigger heart picture, and the service to others picture, even with as service to self, as service to others, that you can shift what you're looking at. So if you're looking at, I don't know, a series of tweets about something and what's going on, and you're thinking, oh, nothing's ever going to happen, or is anybody ever going to be held accountable, or this is, I'm really just nuts, and this is going to be like this forever kind of a thing. And that's a node point. So everything are different levels and layers of energetic pools. So again, I go back to, and maybe I'll share what I was talking about with Keegan, but there's like, these are scent pools of energetic frequencies that we're going on. So as soon as we go, oh no, right? That's, we've just poured some magic energy, some energy that's charged with the ability to materialize all sorts of amazing things, and they are all amazing no matter what perspective we choose to assign to them, right? So something goes on, we pour, our magic elixir on the road path of our life, and then we're charging it, we're charging the frequency energy, we're exciting the molecules of that, and they're going to then bring into fruition and materialization something from that. And we're the ones who are charging the molecules and the frequency, which means that we are completely at choice in doing it. Whether we do it consciously or not is an entirely different look at it.
I'm glad you said it in that way, because that's something that I haven't, I've always felt it, but I haven't actually voiced it. That's the difference, the consciousness.
Yes.
Okay, so that for me, that's that focus and attention of paying attention to how I'm feeling, what I'm doing, what I'm speaking on or thinking about to myself in every moment of now, which is something I've never really paid that close attention to before, prior to, hanging out with the two of you for the most part. So thanks for that, because I'm enjoying every moment of this at this point. And
Me too.
so, yeah, thanks for that. But yes, I'm glad you said it in that way, because it's very specific for me in this moment. Because I keep saying, follow your heart's desire. But, that is the difference, is the consciousness part of it. It's like, okay, well, when X, Y, or Z happens and it's not what I wanted, I'm going to consciously say, okay, well, apparently it's not time or whatever, but it's happening. I'm conscious that it will, if this is really what I want on every level of me, then it's coming. Rather than, you see, for me, that's a whole different than what I had before going on.
Yeah, and absolutely, and just to see if I can paint a picture. So if you got this pool, you got this little bowl, and you're pouring your molecules into it of what your creation is, and you're stirring it around, and so you could then see starting to come out of it is this thing. You're going, oh, that's not really what I wanted. That's much smaller than I wanted, or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just creational force energy. And it got there because you put it there. Because the outside doesn't get outside until it comes outside from in your inner working. So you could say, well, that isn't what I wanted, or maybe it's not right there, right? And part of that is involved in that divine timing, and we can play with that in a little larger aspect in a moment. But it's also another node choice point to say, wow, look what I created. And it's tangible and touchable. And someone would say, well, but I thought you didn't like that. Yes, but it's here where it wasn't before. And it has form, and it has feeling in it, and it is shaping my life, and I can see the tangible realness of it. Where a moment ago I didn't have anything. And someone's going, and why is that a good thing? because I made it come forward. And if I can do that, I can do this.
Yeah.
But I only need to focus and clean up what it is, the consciousness of it. And that's what this, the focus, the title of this is that we've always been incredible, powerful, creative beings. Always, 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 always. We're now starting to realize that, and the energy frequencies of such that have had such expansion, and the viscosity, the effervescence, the substrate that's involved in it for us to move forward has rarefied, right? Has gotten more bubbly, more the distance between the molecules of, this is just kind of a funny way to describe it, but the distance between the molecules with duality and separation has shortened. So the lag time, as it were, and since, with the programming conditioning, humans are want to, squirrel, right? So they say, I want this, not getting a squirrel. It takes you off this by design. But now that's getting closer and closer together. And so it happens very, 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 very quickly, which is terrific, 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 except, because these are no, but something happens and you go, I don't want that. Okay, well now you've taken a hairpin turn in that energy frequency of now creating all that stuff that goes along with that. Why me? Why is this happening? Yada, yada. And the fear monsters and all that kind of stuff. And now you're off to the races. And as Sheila just did, Sheila said, well, it's always good to go to your house, and you can just keep focusing on that. And absolutely, I absolutely agree with that. And I would add that even if you're off to the races in this kind of hairpin turn that's perceived as shit stuff, you're still going exactly where you want to go. You're just getting more, of the distortion sheared off and expansion in a slightly different way.
Well, for some reason, when you were speaking there just then, for those that will notice that I had all of a sudden a bit of a laugh attack, I was looking at the title with accountability and foresight, and I heard, if anybody, I heard Urkel's voice in my head. Did I do that? Because that is where the accountability portion comes in, is where, regardless of what presents,
mm-hmm.
Yes, you did do that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something that I didn't want,
right?
I am responsible. I am accountable,
right,
for that. So going about this mindfully with the foresight is sort of key here.
Yeah, it's a yay moment.
Yeah,
it's I didn't want that, but yay, because I did it. It wasn't there before. So I guess that's the other thing, is that's part of that mindfully doing it, because you realize, whether you realize because, wow, hey, that's cool, or you go, I got more of this crap in my hair. I keep making all this shit bad I don't like happen, right? And either way, you figure it out, and when you can do that, then now you realize that it's all, it's all good. That phrase, it's all good. It's so, because it's just how you're navigating, and it's a choice point. And that ups the creational force ampage in each of those node points. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, for me, it also makes sense in that if I create something
mm-hmm.
that now I don't want, or I didn't really think, whatever it is, if I'm in denial of that thing, and this has come a lot for me in a lot of different ways. as shadows present themselves, right? Okay, I've shared that whole thing with the entity dancing around the room that pretended it wasn't me, right? And I think this applies to this as well. That's where this accountability thing really comes in. Yes, okay. Because if you deny it, oh, I would never do that because that's not how I really want my life, and I wouldn't do that, and that's not me, and oh, poor me, and all of that. That's again, it is a way to expansion, as choices are, here for all of us to make, and nothing is wrong in any of that.
Right.
It's just the realizing of that accountability. For me, that just came in really strong for me personally. Not, just taking responsibility and accountability for every portion of my own creation, for me personally, is important.
Yeah, well, and especially if you can play with the accountability, being account able. So you're taking account, you're taking stock of what you just created, and with that accounting, right, and looking at that and going, oh, well, okay, not quite what I had in mind, but yay for me, I'm good. I'm damn good. I mean, look at the complexity of this schlock I just created, right?
Look how
And so now I'm able, with this accounting, to look at this, to notice it, to be subject to it, go, well, yeah, because it wasn't there before. And it just kind of seemed to happen out of the blue. I mean, this stuff just all of a sudden got there. Well, that's really good news. I mean, that's just cosmically delicious and exciting news. Because I did that. So I can do this over here. And I can use this as a springboard to do it. If you think about kind of a scene in Star Trek comes to mind, but using the velocity, the orbital velocity of a planet and the trajectory, and they speed up their warp drive and they bounce off, right? And it slingshots them because it didn't have enough power, right? Well, that's the same thing. So you look at this thing and you're going, oh no. So your lithium, what's the name of I can't remember the name of the batteries, but the power that runs the Enterprise, right? So it's gone down because oh no, this is terrible, fear, and this, and so your power levels have gone down. But if you look at it and with the accountability, right, and you're having an accounting of this, you go, oh no, I'm able. So it charges you up, you slingshot off of it, and now you can create. So it's nothing is wasted in that. It's all how you then choose. And oftentimes we realize that we actually, on many levels, created that thing we didn't want on purpose for that very slingshot effect.
Well, that, and what I just saw too, for me in particular, is it's approving of certain things. Well, now I know what I don't want.
Yes.
So
yes. For me, it really helped to hold it as not good or bad. Like, I stopped really judging everything as, well, this is really good and this is really bad. I began to see it as data. These are results, and I like the results, or, they were enjoyable and pleasing to me. I want more of these results, or not so much. In which case, I think I'll be done getting those results.
Fun experience, but thanks, I'm good.
Well, the other thing too.
Thank you for visiting. I got your message. I honor you. Bye-bye.
Well, and the other thing too is that what came in for me when we were speaking on this too is that it takes a whole lot of energy to keep pushing something away.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I deny you, and no, that's not, and no, I didn't, and no, and keep pushing it out there as opposed to
result.
come on in, let's
Well, think of it, so something the way you do that with your hands, so you're it's like kneading dough, right? So when you're pushing against it, you're actually enhancing the energy, frequency, vibration of that which you say you don't want. So you're making more of what you don't want. In fact, you keep giving voice to, right? And your voice is bringing it into materialization because it's through the whole energy loop in your body, in all of your bodies, in all of your being. And you keep creating more because that's what you're doing. But that's a really good thing, because look at that. You're, as you said, Sheila, you're proving I can do it. Now, I realize I'm not thinking this is so hot, like Lisa said, but I can do this. So my muscles are strong, and I'm just going to clean up my focus a bit, and I'm going to get out of my head, go into my heart, and see, okay, well, how do I navigate it? What can I see? What light can I shine, which is knowledge, and anytime there's an upgrade in light is knowledge. It's expansion of your perspective. You're widening your aperture. You can see an angle. You know, that light and knowledge hits an angle of this thing you don't like. And if you're waiting, you go, oh, wait. You know, I could take this piece here. I could do that. Or I can use this. I've met somebody or had a connection here, or maybe a resource or something that can take me off in another place. One thing that goes with this, both on the constricted side and the node point consciously choosing your frequency side, is the piece that talks about foresight. Because as you know, they're multidimensional, and you're doing this in a simultaneous multiple perspective, multiple locational consciousness perspective. And the foresight is this is a little bit what we were talking about in the conversation Sheila and I did a couple of days ago, where you can see in real time everything happening on all, so you know, the linear picture, then the part of the quantum picture, and this part and that part, you know, so it's this whole spherical thing of all of these happenings going on, and you can see through that. So you can see logistically wise, like if you're thinking of a film strip, you know, so that several frames ahead, several frames behind, several frames that are on the cutting room floor, you know, those kinds of things. And so with foresight, you can then also keep it in your heart center, the power with which you wield that creational force, and realize that unintentionally, right? So not being mindful of it, you can wield that force out and do terrific damage with it, just as you can do terrific, beautiful creation with it. So not only are we not small, which we never have been, and this goes back to a conversation we did quite a while ago, that, you know, you're not in like a training mentorship program, or you're in a mastership level. And so the really cool thing for me is even when it's like, ow, what did I do? That hurt, you know. And sometimes maybe mostly because that gets my attention, but it happens so fast, and such cool attributes of things that I didn't even know I was capable of doing. And I play with a lot of stuff that I know I'm capable of doing, come forward, and it's like having all these raw materials, all these amazing ingredients and this energy bubble is this color and bounces this way, and I can put it together with this, and it makes all these kinds of things. That there's no lag time. So instead of the kind of the squirrel with the programming derailing us, it's just letting us really, really intently and intentionally focus, or not. If we focus, then we can drive really quickly. We can see us going, oh my gosh, we're going to hit that huge, pothole. No, I just, I can change it into something else. I can throw a bridge over it, whatever it is. Or I'm in the ditch. I went the double ditch road, went down that, and I careened down into one ditch and hit the side and careened over to the other side of the ditch. But the feedback is instantaneous.
Well, yeah, I think that's all contained within this title, or portion of the title that I wrote down that we started on. Because we're unleashing our power no matter what. No matter what, our power is and always has been there and utilized.
Right.
As to exactly how it's being wielded,
right,
and I'm beckoned to say as to whom we are allowing to direct, it is all due to focus and attention, and that's where the mindfully part came in.
Yes.
Lisa, you have said on more than one occasion, if you're not minding your energy, someone else is.
Yes.
And that's why focus and attention is so key for me.
Well, and that phrase that Sheila uses is so powerful, because it really makes you kind of stop and sit up and think and go, oh, yeah, holy smokes, you're right. It's like most people doesn't occur to them, and then they hear that and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want that, but no, kind of a thing. Well, and right now it happens so fast, and that which is being unleashed is so powerful and so really delicious and beautiful. But more and more the spigot is being turned on, or more it's not the turn on, but it's being opened. The aperture for that flow to come out is being opened wider and wider. And this really is where you're getting back in tune with and reacquainted with and incorporating your masteryship on wielding that, and bringing on the new things that are coming out of that you.
Well, for when you were speaking on opening up the spigot, okay, allowing more water to, let's just put it that way, come gushing in. All of a sudden I saw this, okay, so you're trying to irrigate something, and you've opened the spigot all the way, and what you want to irrigate is way over there, but your spigot is over here. It's going to take focus and attention to direct that water, right, with this open spigot to get it where you want to go.
Right.
You can't just open it. I mean, you can. It might get over there eventually if you just let it run on the floor, or on the ground. It might get to where, but how quickly and pinpoint accurate and things like that, I guess.
Well, and that's the foresight. So that's a good analogy for the foresight. So if you said you got crops in the spigot, you want to water over here, right?
Right.
Well, if you just turn it on without that focus and attention, without that direction, without wielding that mindfulness, you've actually flooded all of the land in front of the spigot which is clogging up and making little mini dams to what you want to water, so it's getting less water, and you have erosion, and then you've got a big trough going out, so now it's emptying it the other way, right? So all of these things can be, as what we talked about before, they can be useful things because you created just, oh, okay, cool. Well, now I could say, well, great, now I've got this kind of reservoir pit, and with my new focus intention, I'm going to make a trough this way, so it's holding, right? There's not as much drag on my energy flow, my creational force energy flow. It's actually flowing in a much more seamless way because it never goes down. The energy level never goes down because that pool that I created unintentionally, but had foresight and redirected it, is actually helping me. So that's a reservoir now where I can create over here and create over there, and it's all swimming off of that thing.
And had you been in resistance to it, it would have persisted.
Right. It just would have been a quagmire mess. And I wouldn't have anything to eat. Yeah.
Well, I also, the for me personally, what keeps coming, and it just keeps coming in all the time, is being open to, just being open and allowing. That came in the other night too, really huge. The allowance piece.
And I'm nudged here to go back just a little bit to, for people to be mindful in how it's always been the case, but now it's really very evident, and since we're being called to by our souls and source to be cognizant and integrated in coherence with all of ourselves, all of our energy frequencies, our consciousness, our abilities, all of that, to really have foresight in how we can shift and change the course of things, affect other things, other beings, other things. And so if it's not consciously done and mindfully done and with accountability, it can be really painful to others.
Well, for some reason, I'm beckoning to say with that is that for myself, if I'm not being mindful and having focus and attention, there is no foresight. Because for me, that means that I'm not present. And if I'm not present, then I'm not mindful. And if I'm not focused and present and mindful, there's no foresight, or at least for me. I'm only speaking for me.
Well, no, I get that, but if you can look at just the foresight for a minute, you say, I'm not small, I'm really powerful, and my energy, if not done with mindfulness and accountability, can go and bitch slap somebody that I had no intention of doing, and here I am wanting to be of service, I'm wanting to have my mission, I'm wanting to do all these kinds of things, and I'm walking around completely unconscious, just going with my energy frequency. It affects engines, it affects everything. And I can do the same thing where, that, faucet's not working, or that electricity on the gate's not working, the lights aren't going on, and I can focus on that, and I can actually get it to work when the linear things weren't working. And I'm speaking of instances I did this the other day, and I can not have foresight or mindful in something and have my energy go out and be read by someone else as me shouting at them or doing something when I wasn't, just linear listening to my language and the words that I was speaking and all that kind of stuff. But the energy was not contained.
I'm laughing because I had an example of that. Lisa knows what I'm talking about. I had an example of that shown to me in regards to my energy. A very pointed, very animated example of exactly how one's energy slaps things, others, could be other beings, could be other items, could be, well, I mean, I think I had plenty of that in regards to that, that I had to apparently show myself in great detail before I kind of grokked that and had that as a alchemical epiphany instead of just an intellectual exercise.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if
for-
we're, go ahead, Lisa.
Sorry. I would even say that goes as far as, what we would technically call inanimate objects.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking of my computer too.
Yes, exactly. I've taken to seeing it more. It's not what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. It's how I'm doing it. It is the frequency that I am holding when I engage the it that will determine how things turn out for me. So anymore, I'm not attached to what it is, because I used to be, well, it goes like this. This is how you do that. And I was not being mindful of how I was approaching doing that. So you can imagine the results I was getting.
Yeah. Well, just the way you were describing that with the inflection of the voice and everything, that all the molecules dancing. So one way were like these spiky kind of molecules, not at all what you intended to do, but this is it. And it's like, no, you just created this, like those little round steel balls with big points on them. And
Yes.
why, you're sitting on something that's ouchy.
So think about it. Anything that you approach in that manner,
yeah,
including now, I'm looking at like my RV home and my home sticks and bricks home and my environment basically. When I approach it with that energetic, let's call it the pokey energetic, it responds in like, meaning it right back. And so I have noticed that when I approach anything, a person or otherwise, with mindfulness, and like you said, just understanding who and what I am and what I'm interacting with, then I have a mindful reciprocation, like I have been able to have conversations with the RV. We had different things that were breaking down and whatnot. And I was beginning to see the correlation of my own energy and how I was approaching things. And so I started to experiment a little with it and, asking for cooperation and coordination. And it was sort of oh, okay, well, yeah, I can meet you there. And can you meet me here? Okay, well, how about, and all of a sudden I'm getting a real co-creative, more cohesive, unified relationship. And it's not just with the people, it's with everything.
It's everything.
Yeah, it's so delicious to, show up in that mindful manner, take responsibility, and then really create and get the results you're looking for. Feels so delicious and so rewarding. There's really no other, there's no reward in doing it the other way for me anymore. I mean, there was at one point because I needed those results repetitively, apparently. No judgment, I want to see a thing, and now I can't unsee it. So
That's
I'm
right.
grateful for that.
No, exactly correct. Well, when you spoke again of this, right? Okay, so of course I saw, as I always do, I see this again in another sort of way.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that Well, when you speak on the electromagnetics, because that's what we are,
Right.
and we have all sorts of electromagnetics that are associated with our physicality, and all those different bodies that we speak of, they are all electromagnetic in nature. And so, yeah, how we approach these things, well, of course, that's going to affect an inanimate object if your electromagnetics are all kinds of out of whack.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So that makes, I'm sorry, that makes perfect linear sense to me. I don't even have to think on that as a multi-dimensional concept to be able to get that.
Right. Well, and I wanted to play just for a minute, share a story I was sharing some of with you guys earlier, because this is really important. Obviously, if you're making these node points, or you're kind of noticing that you are playing and wielding this energy all of a sudden in things that seem frightening or like a bad thing happening or something like that. But the playful side of it and the expansive side of just creating new things, or noticing, and so you notice something, and then you're mindful of how it interacts with you and with the things you're doing. So the combination of the noticing and the mindfulness of that, and then playing with it, coming into coherence and playing with it, is opening up all sorts of new things that have been there all along. But again, that it's unfolding, and I'm bringing it into being, and I'm unleashing it. So the example was, I was doing nose work training with Keegan, and again, when dogs have, people see with their eyes, they have good scent, but the actual physical parts of their body and the parts of their brain, the amount of space in a human's brain that's allocated to the olfactory is minuscule compared to a dog. I mean, it's literally, if you looked at something that's this big for a human, and between these fingers for a dog, that's kind of the relation. And it's a fun thing that we're playing, and we come up with different puzzles that he's got to figure out with scent, and he's teaching me all of these wonderful things. Plus, this time I was doing, it was around the outside of a little cabin in the beautiful woods by the natural mountain aquifer over here, and so I'm watching different things, and we have these hides, they're little metal tins, or, well, these ones I was using metal tins, and they have the little scent in them, the odors that he's searching for right now. And so you hide them, and you pair them with a treat if I can't get to him fast enough to reward him, because he's just learning how to do it, intentionally. So when he sees something, he's seeing with his nose. So he could be in a room, in a building, he could be in this house, and I could turn all the lights off. He doesn't need the lights on to see, because he's seeing the picture that creates in his brain from the nose. And so it kind of, they're like, he reads it as a cloud, so he might be standing by a tree, and there's a cloud of this odor here. So he has to kind of, and different dogs will do it different ways, but he's kind of triangulate to solve the puzzle of where it is, right? But so I've started to actually watch him look at and see the scent clouds. Before we start, I ask him to sit, and there's no restrictions on the dog like in any other sports. You just give him he's got his harness that he wears, and that's mostly just his clothing to wear it. And then I tell him, ready. And as soon as, we can go out, and he sits, okay, sit. And then I say, ready. He snaps, and you can watch him he sees the pictures. He sees the clouds of odor. He sees the scent picture, and he will look here and look here and look there, and he's got it. He doesn't see that it's 3 paces from the tree, but he knows pretty darn close to where it is. And he may even go in a track where he kind of checks in a little closer to them. So anyways, I watch him do this, and that's been fascinating because more and more I can actually see through him as the video conduit. He's amplifying and expanding my sensory array to actually take on some of his, which is very cool. Then
Yeah, that's a
today,
co-creative thing you're doing there.
what's that?
The co-creative.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was putting out the hides, and he's in the car, so he can't really see where I'm going. And sometimes I would, like make a fake, like I'd bend down and, kind of look at this like I might be hiding something here. And then there were a couple times where I was looking at something and I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. Because what I'm trying to practice and give the problems on are playing with scent pools and overlapping and wind direction. And, so it's a puzzle that he's got to figure out. So there was one that I looked at, it was by the edge of the building, and there were some cement blocks. And so they were about this high, but there was a gap at the bottom. I thought, oh, that'd be good because it would trap the scent, and then it would come out, but it would come out at a different angle. And so he'd have to read it. So I really was giving it some thought and some intention, and not just, thinking, oh, that I could fake that I'm doing it, right? And then I decided, no, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to go over here. So I left it be. And I did it up with another place. So then when we came to the time where he's on leash and he's been given the command to are you ready? And then go seek, and he's off and going. And when he got in journeying around the house to this one place that I just described in more detail so it was an actual thought process. He met my telepathic, intentional, quote unquote, scent picture with his pooling scent picture, and had to think for a minute, so he wasn't meeting a pool of odor, a scent picture of odor. He was meeting my telepathic, my energetic, intentional, I don't know, game picture, we'll say, and said, something here, no, and move on. But to be able to watch it in real time, these new abilities, these new or more enhanced ways of unfolding this stuff, was just a fun game to put all of these things we're talking about, where you're unleashing these things and you're doing it mindfully, and you are accountable for, oh yeah, I did that, I made him stop there, right? And I made him look at that and think that there was something there because of the whole telepathic thought process of that. So the reason I bring it up is because it was fun, but also because it's a way that if, no matter what we're doing, we can notice these things all over the place, and then from that go, wow, yeah, I can see where I had a hand in that.
Well, yeah, but again, for me, that takes focus and attention. That's my big mantra for myself. That's why I say it all the time, because it takes focus and attention. If you were wandering around playing this game, but thinking about something else, or not being present, not focusing, not attentive, I mean, I don't know, outcome may have been completely different.
Oh, I know you're absolutely right, because one of the things I could have been doing is, since these are blind hides to him, but they're not, unlike the competition we went to 2 weekends ago, they're not blind to me because I put them out. Now, sometimes I do forget where I put things because it's kind of in the woods, but so I could have said, well, been impatient or consciously or unconsciously signal with my body that there's nothing there or whatever it was. But this is why one of the reasons that I love this is it's a way for me to play in the quantum even more, with him setting up kind of tests or problems to solve or games to play for me. So you know, one might think, well, I'm playing this game with him and I'm setting up things for him to do. Yes. But in that, he's setting up all these things for, he's pointing to and showing me and illuminating and illustrating and unleashing these other things that are self-recognition for me, of abilities and watching the different energetic bodies, the electromagnetic functions and structures and superpowers, go, wow, look at that. I mean, to see a telepathic scent cloud, you know, or thought cloud, or however you want to phrase it, is, and go, to think, wait a minute, I'm seeing it. It's like, okay, cool.
Well, see, again, that's for me, that just speaks so much even more to focus and attention.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing that it's not just, so if I'm remaining, if I am open using focus and attention, everything, both inanimate, animate, being, vegetable, mineral, song on the radio is all available as a co-creator, and just like I said, but if the focus and attention's not there, then it doesn't make it any less of a co-creator.
Right.
There's no mindfulness, there's no direction. Right. And so then again, I go back to what Lisa has shared with me, and it just sticks with me, because if I'm not directing my energy, right, something or someone else is all too happy. And that's where I mean the focus and attention.
Yes, and that's a great point to really highlight, because I was gonna, you know, bring forward that this is a tool in your toolbox when you're wanting to bring abilities online, when you want your superpowers, when you're wanting to communicate better, or to get a sense of what's going on, or to read the energies, read the waters, read your boss, you know, whatever it is, right? With those tools in your toolbox, and you're, as you say, focusing on that, you really have unlimited superpowers and good strong muscles right at that moment. And so when you're, as we started, you know, the other part of this conversation, when you're at those node points and it's a seemingly, I didn't want that, or this is bad, or this is freaking me out, or this is really making me fearful, right? The same things apply. The same tool in your toolbox can help you shift that and wield it in a way that changes everything in, yes, hey, this is the direction I want to go. So you don't need to be at a loss. You don't need to be at a perceived disadvantage or kind of in a quandary because you feel that you have no power in what's going on. It's simply an illusion, what you're creating and perpetuating. And this is a key that unlocks that illusion and lets you see the clear picture of what really is there. It's pretty cool.
I'll say. I'm sorry, but it's really exciting to me. I've got energy running through me right now, like crazy. Yes. Yes. It's exciting to actually to know that, to feel that, to experience that. Mm-hmm. And with mindful focus and attention, one can in every moment.
Right. And think how empowered you are then, because you can look at anything with your sensory array, which you keep adding to all the time and sharpening and enhancing. And now you got the HD version of this section of the sensory array, and the galactic snuffleup of this section of the sensory array. And no matter what's going on, like I said, if it's, current events or changes in energy or something in your family or your boss or your business or whatever it is, you can use this and mindfully unleash it on what is going there, and you can enhance and what you can build. Going back to, who's going to take out the trash, right? In this, we are creating a whole new civilization, whole new beings, whole new construct, whole new ways that is heart-based, in the river of love, flowing and expansive. And this allows us to see, to play with how we do that, how we are doing that, and takes us off of the, well, someone better fix that.
Well, like we were saying before, it's always worked this way, everybody.
Right.
It always has.
Right.
We've always had this power.
Right.
We've just not focused and attentively wielded it mindfully.
But we have wielded it.
Whoa. Oh, yes. It has been wielded.
Complete with, wielding it to pulling our own hair and bitch slapping ourselves.
Oh, yes. I freely admit to all of the above.
Yeah, I'm a champion.
Bitch slapping and all. So yeah, it's always worked this way. Same thing with all the systems and stuff that we have in place. None of it's broken. It's always worked this way. It was designed to work this way. Everything has always. This is the way it has been. We're just seeing it more clearly now for what it is. And that applies to everything, I think. And we're showing ourselves. Some of us, needed a little more time or needed to see all the way to the bitter end, apparently. And that's okay. I just feel like it is. It's always worked this way. We're just seeing how it actually works and how to work with it in the way that I now desire. That's what I'm focusing on, figuring out how to perfect for me in the way that I desire.
Right. And you can as you're noticing, as you're kind of letting your receptors and actively choosing your receptors to be more attentive, more aware, more dynamic, like I was describing in the dog's nose, the olfactory part. It's like, I don't think this is the right term. It's like all these little cilia are growing, and they replicate themselves every, I think it's 60 days. And as the dog is focusing on one thing, because this has to do with, wolf and eating and a canid and all that kind of stuff, right? So if certain kind of prey is what they were eating to survive, then they would hone those cilia, right? And then all of a sudden it's gone, or they've had to move, or they got pushed out of territory, and now, okay, well, the polka dotted wildebeest is what they were eating, and that's now extinct. What do we do? Well, because they keep receptors and they find something, they'll grow they'll stop growing the polka dotted wildebeest cilia, scent picture guys, and they'll grow, the rabbit ones. So that's a linear, tangible thing, but it's also energetically aligned, and it's a great metaphor for what we're talking about, that we can do all of this. And as so we pull stuff forward and look at it, we can see that information, we can see the connections. This actually comes to mind right in front of us, and all sorts of things, where we go one, where we go all. This is a bloodstone, warrior stone, healing stone. I don't know if you can see that, because it's going to but you see the Q on there.
Yeah, in red.
Yeah.
See the tail comes down.
Uh-huh.
So I mean,
Ah.
what are the
You
odds
gotta
that
get a
I
really
did
good,
an auction?
you got to get a good picture of that for me.
Well, I'll take it so it's not reflected in the thing, but yeah, I can see.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I would love to
Yeah.
have an actual good thumbnail sized picture.
Yeah. But that's just, that came to me. I drew it to me. I got it at auction. I didn't necessarily see the Q when this is why I auctioned on it. But I took it out and I looked at it and I thought, I'll be damned, where we go one, where we go all. It's, again, one of those things, like anything else, if you're paying attention, it's connecting you to something and realizing. I think part of it was because I had set up a telling picture. So instead of a send picture like with Keegan, it was a tell picture. So things are not time driven, because time is a false construct, but they're event driven. So I had said, well, certain events will unfold, and then that would give me a clear signal that new things were moving forward, not only in my own personal sphere, but in things that I do in my work and my missions, and then also in the collective, right? And one of them had to do with Q and information and data from that. And I was nudged to go, and there's something for you to bid on, go online. I was, okay, great. What am I searching for? It's the same game I always play. And Bloodstone, okay, great. And so it came up, and this one got, and it came in the mail, and I unwrapped it, and I thought, that's cool. And Q started posting that evening that it came, and some other things in reference. So to me, it's contextual from event driven, and there were other events in addition that worked into that thing. But for me, it was an intimate, customized map and placement of things that was answering things that I had questions about, wanted direction on. And it was signaling that it was time for me, because I knew there were couple of things that were going, that I was in a holding pattern. When something happened, that I could do something vis-a-vis different things with the IUV and the case and all that kind of stuff. And I could do those things when these things lined up. And I would clear, because I say, okay, well, sometimes I'm not all that smart, so I needed to be like really clear, giant 5 million foot neon sign, and this was one of them. So again, that's all just noticing and focusing and realizing that each of us have our own data stream decoder, and that we can put these things together in a way that's unique for us.
Well, that's important that you just set that up like that, because that's something that I noticed that both you and Lisa do for yourselves. So this too is a tool alert, what you're speaking on there, as far as I'm concerned. You have questions about something in whatever it is. It doesn't even really matter what it is, but you set up, I want, now I need this or that to signal something else. And when it comes, you recognize it. And that's something that I had not ever played with until the two of you. And so I'm really glad you pulled that up just like that, because I see you, the two of you, doing that even now, even though I know it's available to me, but it's not something I've made as a habit of doing. So that's why I'm pointing it out. It's a tool alert even for myself, is that we do have that ability. Something's going on, or you want clarification, then we ask the questions, we need some proving, and then just be attentive, there's that focus and attention again, to what presents. And that's in every moment. So again, now there's more mindful, attentive focus that needs to be. That's why focus and attention is such a big thing.
And any tool that, just so you talk about that, any tool that you're picking up and wielding, right, because of the energetics, because of more of you unleashing more of you, and you know, the power that is coursing through you, which is, by the way, pure undiluted love. And sometimes when it's not mindfully wielded, you know, you don't feel like it's love, because it's again rubbing off distortion of blindfolders or blind spots or dips in consciousness, which were, you know, could have been a root of program or something like that. But anyways, the tools come, and so you can use them. They're you know, the best generation quality of tool, as opposed to just, you know, a dime store same kind of a tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And someone had asked just a moment ago, well, when you were talking about that, Sheila, when you were highlighting it, they would love to, if we would do a conversation just on, so I made a note of it, just on that, because I think it would be fun to play with that in real time. Maybe that's a live thing we go with, right?
I would adore that, because then we could actually, you know, talk about it with folks. And I will say this too about that you might actually pick that up out of my field, because I said exactly that in my head. That when I brought it up, I was like, okay, well, this is probably an entirely separate conversation, but I'm going to do it here. And I also want to say this, because this came in strongly when you were saying that, BZ. In regards to absolute love. But remember, for me, I know I had a lot of trouble with that word, because there's still a lot of folks that can't even feel into, grasp how anything dark fits into absolute love. But I got news. It does. And that's the bottom line of that for me, because we've all got this, you know, idea of what love is, but it includes everything, all of it, even the most horrific stuff is included in that love. And so I know that's a separate conversation as well, but I had to throw that in there because, you know, that's part of the problem with pushing stuff away.
Right. I was going to say, you know, that if people could play with that, what you just brought up, and where if they are wrestling with that, right? But bring it back around to this whole conversation we've just had, and the tool that we're highlighting here, it really will help you with that, because different things will show up in your awareness, in your path, in your tangible physical reality, that you can play and navigate that and set up proof, you know, again, asking yourself to do all these kinds of things, because that's a for some a hurdle that that you have asked yourself to jump and to navigate, and as you get, you know, your rhythm and everything in speed, and your flow of expansion and consciousness, and flowing in that river of love, you will navigate it more and more and more seamlessly, until it just is, and you realize it and you understand it. It's the fabric of all of it. When you're on the other side of that, when you're on the hurdle part, it is one of the things that, and this may be a little bit of a kind of Cohen or discordant mind break synapse in the mind there. But as long as you are on that as a hurdle, remember we talked about, you know, you want something, and you've manifested something else that's coming up in your perception as scary or bad or fearful or, and part of that being able to understand the totality of what love is and the frequency of it will help you be able to not take those side roads. So in other words, it's the macrocosm, the microcosm is a bigger picture of all of that is illustrated in the smaller, more intimate things that are happening in your personal sphere, your personal journey. And they, again, just like nothing gets out there until it comes from in here. So when that is resolved in here, then you see it resolved out there.
This is a great conversation, ladies.
Agreed.
Yeah. For just saying, let's just jump in, because a lot of times when you had put this, when we had started talking the other night, BZ, and this, and again, I don't even know if that's the whole title you gave me, but because I had stopped writing when we spoke in regards to watching the Great Awakening in real time, and we decided to go with that. I didn't think I had that whole title, but as we were speaking earlier, I just felt like it was right smack in there with it. So I really loved this. Thank you so much.
Well, and people are wrestling with stuff even if they don't know it, kind of the way we pieced it out, because things, look around, ask any, watch, and things are coming up so fast, and it's like all this rapid fire stuff, and it's hard to navigate, and it's so much, and you're feeling overwhelmed, and all this, and some of it's really good, some of it's really bad stuff, and there doesn't seem many. And we're the ones who are doing this. And if we can just, and just, it's really this hand motion, right? We just stop the chaoticness of it and sort it out and go, oh yeah, here, as a node point, and move forward. You can feel it. If you just do that movement with your hands, you can feel how the energy in your body, the frequency, not only levels out, but strengthens.
Well, yeah. Okay. So that's what you were referring to earlier when I was saying when you're pushing it away from you as opposed to pulling it in, because, yeah. Wow. Okay. I love you both.
And you're freezing.
Wow. Well, I need to end this one here and say that if you're subscribed to BZ Rieger's channel, come over and subscribe to Conscious Conversation Central. And the same if you're subscribed to Conscious Conversation Central, go over and subscribe to BZ Rieger's channel. That's the way you won't miss any one of our videos, because I do put up videos that BZ does not put up on her channel. And the same for BZ. She puts things up that I do not put up on mine, because she does, Quantum Playground and Rambles by the River and things like that don't get up on my site. So,
plus you'll give YouTube a little more things to do, because they're always messing with the numbers going down. So
yes, well, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. We'll have to see, because I've heard some rumors that they're going to start doing away with channels that aren't monetized, that aren't making money for YouTube. And since I refuse to monetize this channel, I don't know what will happen. So get it while you can, folks. That's all I got to say about that. So, and I also want to say thank you to my 1,000th subscriber, because I finally hit the big 1000. I don't, I found out it doesn't really mean anything since I'm not going to monetize it, but I still feel accomplished. I got 1,000 subscribed. So thank you very much.
Cool.
And I guess that's it. And except for those of you who might be interested in a live with the three of us, let me hear from you. so that we know you really want that. And maybe we'll see about doing that with the three of us. I think that would be interesting to know.
Do you want to come play?
Yeah. Well, please, are you kidding? I got a feeling, especially if it was announced in advance, there'd be a lot of people that want to come play.
Yep.
So,
but it's the non-interference class has to want to be coming in. So
that's right. So thank you both so much again, and until next time. Mwah.